Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with a come with me movie review of the movie Peninsula, or also known as the sequel to Train to Busan. Before we jump into it, please don't forget to subscribe. That's down here. One press on that red button, and if you click the bell next to it, you will be notified every time that I upload. With that being said, let's jump into the video. So first off, yes, I'm going to the cinema to watch Peninsula. I am very lucky to live in the Netherlands right now, because I know a lot of people are in lockdown right now because of the virus, and for them it's not an option to go to the cinemas. But here where I live in the Netherlands, cinemas are open with, of course, the necessary measures like keeping social distancing and hand sanitizers and all that kind of stuff. But before we go to the cinemas, let's start with the synopsis of this movie. Peninsula takes place 4 years after the zombie outbreak in Train to Busan. The Korean peninsula is devastated, and Young Shiok, sorry if I butcher that name, a former soldier who has managed to escape overseas, is given a mission to go back and unexpectedly meets survivors. So first off, I have to say I saw that this movie is listed as a horror action movie. First thoughts when I read this was kind of disappointment, because Train to Busan is listed as a thriller horror. So that made me kind of scared that it wouldn't have the same great story as Train to Busan has. So that threw me a little bit off, but then I saw that it has the same director of Train to Busan. So I'm very happy about that. That gives me a little bit of hope that it's going to be a great movie as well. Although I am trying to keep my excitement to a minimum, because everybody knows sequels. Most of the time sequels are not that great. So I'm trying to keep my excitement down, but for me personally, Train to Busan is one of my favorite horror movies in the zombie genre. So the fact that the same director is back on this movie gives me some good motivation to watch this movie. So with that all being said, let's go to the cinemas now together. I'm gonna take you with me, and I'm gonna end in the car and let you know what my final thoughts, first impressions are of this movie. Okay guys, let's talk. I was planning on filming this part in the car right after the movie, so I could give you my first impression kind of movie review. But I have to say the feeling of disappointment was so big. So I thought it would be smarter to just take a few hours and get over that feeling, so I could give an honest and a well thought out review of this movie. First off, this is in no way a sequel. You really don't even have to have seen Train to Busan to watch this movie. This is really a standalone movie. Let's first off talk about the things I did like. First off, it has a great music score. The music is phenomenal. Who did this did a great job. It reminds me a lot of Train to Busan, but in a good way. The music is very well done, and it actually saved some scenes for me. Some scenes that were kind of iffy, the music really helped to make them look better. Second, the camera work. It was actually pretty well done. There are some nice shots in this movie if you look for them. One of my personal favorites was a one take in the kind of gladiator arena that they have in this movie. That was a very well made shot, and it looked great. And last but not least, my two personal favorite actors in this movie was the mother of the children and the brother-in-law of the main character. I actually think these two actors made the best out of their characters. So yeah, I think they need a mention, because they really made some good scenes in this movie. Okay. Now let's talk about the movie. First off, I want to say I'm gonna try to be as vague as possible. If you still want to see this movie, I'm gonna try to not put spoilers in here. I'm gonna give some details, but they're not gonna be important for the whole picture, for the big storyline. So let's start with the first 30 minutes. I actually timed it. I had a notebook with me and I timed when stuff happened. So the first 30 minutes were terrible. It was actually really hard to get through. To be really hard and honest, if I would have watched this movie at home, I wouldn't make it through the first 30 minutes. I would already have turned it off. So the first setup of this movie is very weird. You get about 10 minutes before we see the name of this movie, Great and Beautiful, on the screen. But those 10 minutes were so confusing. One of the weirdest things I thought were in the setup was like an American TV show. They gave a kind of recap for the audience of what happened in the first movie. But I was so confused because there was so much English in the first part of this movie, with the main purpose to just pander an international audience. And that kind of made me confused because that made me think they don't know what they had with the first movie. So yeah, that American show felt really out of place. But after that, the characters also keep talking English, also to each other. Although they're all Korean, they're still talking English to each other when it's not necessary. So yeah, unmotivated English talking is a lot going on in this movie. Also, the movie makers make it very clear in the setup they think their audience is retarded. Because in this new show I was talking about, they keep repeating that it is 4 years ago since Train to Busan happened, the movie. So we get that. And I was like, okay, yes, I know it now, thank you. But then we switch to the characters in the car and they repeat it as well. They say like a sentence like, I can't believe what happened in 4 years. What made me think like, thank you movie, but I didn't forget in like 2 minutes that was 4 years ago. After this setup of 10-minute mark, I already knew I was not gonna get the same magic from Train to Busan. But if you actually stick with this movie, around the 30-minute mark, it picks up. It introduces some new, very good ideas, I think. For example, I really enjoyed the gladiator arena. I think they did a great job with that. And it got a little bit more focused to one story, kind of. There was so much happening in that movie, and around the 30-minute mark, it calmed down a bit. And it made it easier to watch, and the story actually picks up. But I sadly have to say, they lose the audience again after that point. It has like a good middle part, and then it turns bad all over again. With the most dragged out ending I have seen in such a long time. The ending is terrible. That's the only word I can give it. I have never seen an ending that almost felt like an entire movie. I just wanted it to end. So yeah, Peninsula, in my opinion, really, yeah, isn't that great. But mostly just because the script felt like a first version, like it hadn't gone through the second rewrite yet. The characters felt like characters the whole movie through. They never felt like real people. They tried to replicate the same emotions and the same feelings you get from Train to Busan, but you don't get that payoff because you don't care about the characters, because they feel like characters, they're not people. Smaller details like the jokes, they just didn't land. It was actually very painful when I was sitting in the cinemas and nobody was laughing about the jokes that were made in this movie. And let's not even talk about the CGI. The special effects in this movie are terrible. They look like a PlayStation 2 game. What got me kind of confused, because a lot of CGI is happening in this movie, so I don't know why they didn't use practical effects or put some more budget in the CGI, because it's a lot of the movie and a lot of the movie looks very crappy now. Okay, so I could talk a long time about what didn't work in this movie, and that's not a good thing. The sad part for me was actually when the movie ended. I felt so relieved that it was finally over, but also when I walked out of the cinema, I heard multiple people talking about wanting a refund from this movie. People hated it. So yeah, Peninsula gets a 4 out of 10 for me. Wouldn't recommend seeing it in cinemas or buying it on DVD, and I won't be rewatching this movie. I'm sorry guys, this is a one-time watch for me. This is my opinion, of course. You can have yours. That's the magic of movie watching. Everybody can have their own favorite movies. If you're just looking to a very mediocre zombie movie with a lot of action that doesn't look so good, but you just want to turn your brain off, this is a movie for you. But for me personally, it was a disappointment. disappointment because Train to Busan is actually movie magic. I would love to know from you guys what you thought about this movie. Have you seen it? Are you gonna watch it? What are your thoughts about this? That's it for this movie review. I hope you enjoyed watching it. Please don't forget to leave a like if you liked it and subscribe down here. It's just one press on the red button, and hopefully I will see you in my next video. Bye!